Welcome back to The Inspired Entrepreneur with Heather Hope. Hey guys, welcome back to the Inspired Entrepreneur podcast. This is Heather Hope. Good morning, guys. March 30th. So guess when I'm actually recording this? I'm recording it morning of. This is the latest I've ever recorded. I've done over 200 episodes and it's totally cool. It's totally okay. It just is what it is. And anyway, let's get going. I am just very excited. I am getting more excited. I can't believe that I've been doing this podcast for daily for over 6 months. And I am more excited about it now than I was, it's probably the entire time I've been doing it. I don't know. We'll probably get into what I'm talking about in this episode. So if you've noticed that on YouTube, if you go over to YouTube, I am obsessed with YouTube. I have loved YouTube for years. I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. And I think my dreams are coming true now. But if you come over to YouTube, if you're listening to this podcast on a podcast platform, I highly encourage you to join me over on YouTube because it's just better over there. I just like it better. You can communicate. You can ask me questions. You can tell me what's up. You can tell me what resonates with you. I love the feedback and I love interacting. Oh, excuse me. And I love knowing that there are actual human beings out there who are listening to me. And I just love the comments. So thank you all for being here, but let's jump into today. Today is Tuesday. So happy Tuesday to you. I hope you have an amazing day today. It is gorgeous here. I live in Arizona. Oh, excuse me. I live part-time in California. My second home is in California. That is for sure, at the ocean. I visit the ocean nearly every day in some form. Either I listen to ocean waves while I meditate, which is most days. I look at the ocean every day. I look at pictures of homes in California in the area that is our second home, which is Pismo Beach. And I expose myself to the ocean. Does that sound weird? That sounded weird. Okay. Because I live in the desert, even though it can be really beautiful here. I love the ocean. So anyhow, let's get going. If you've noticed on YouTube, I have created some new thumbnails. I've been more creative and inspired to improve my YouTube channel and this podcast. So yeah, I'm insanely excited now. Okay, so let's jump into this. If you're new here, welcome. I'm going to create a new intro to the podcast, so be aware of that. That will be coming in the next, I don't know how long, within this week, I think, to kind of give more of a, what the heck is this? So when people click on it, they're like, what? Just a tiny little bit more. Okay, so I just got a comment let me look back because I was just looking at the poll results from yesterday. I had asked, do you meditate? And 47% said yes, most every day. 11% said sometimes, 22% said not enough, 3% said nope, and 17% said I need help with this. So fun little poll. You can go over to the community section of my channel, The Inspired Entrepreneur. And because I'm curious, because I think I'm going to start creating actual videos, YouTube videos for my channel weekly at the beginning. And I think we're going to talk about meditation for the first one, because that's what I feel like talking about. Okay. So I wanted to get a little poll there. And I said most every day because I don't meditate every day. I don't meditate every day. I meditate most days. And I remember there were times when I didn't meditate for 3 weeks at a time. And I kind of felt like I was okay. And then I started meditating. I'm like, hell, I was not okay. I was okay. I was okay. You know what I mean? unquote, okay. When I meditate, I am calm. I am happy. I am good with the world for the most part until the world is crazy. But it's releasing resistance. The thing about meditation, and we'll get into, we talk about this all the time. It's just a constant reminder. So I know I sound like a broken record at times, but it's so like manifestation is so, it's, I want to say simple, for goodness sakes, and people would disagree with me. Some people. But when you meditation does a couple of things. The two main things is that meditation releases resistance, releases that angst that you may be feeling, that worry, that stress, that anxiety that you may feel. And it raises your vibration. When you release resistance, you raise your vibration. They go hand in hand. So like think of a cork in a wine bottle, or, well, let's talk about wine, or a cork. If you get a cork and you put it in water. So we like to, wine sounds better, but you put it in, you take the cork, right? And you throw it in a bowl of water and it floats. There's no resistance, right? It's weightless. That's what it feels like when you meditate. When you really get into a good meditation, it feels like that. So you think of worry, anxiety, all these things going on. And it's just like if you take your fingers, and you take the cork and you just shove it under the water. You shove it under like you're drowning the cork. And that's resistance. And so it's a great example because it's always us who's doing this. It's always us. Now we think a lot of the times we truly believe that it's people outside of us and the world and whatever fill in the blank, who's making us feel a certain way. Feels normal, right? To feel that way. Until you realize that you have control over how you feel about things. Now that takes a lot of practice. If you didn't know that growing up, if you weren't taught that by really healthy parents, like for real, right? That is something that I think it takes a while, even as a therapist. So as a therapist in the past, I had a hard time with this because I was really struggling hard for many, many years with depression. So even as a therapist, when I was told we have I disagreed for many years that I had a choice, because what it was is just momentum, very strong momentum, right? Very strong momentum of feeling like crap, of feeling depressed and having all these thoughts. And that felt very normal. It felt normal, but it obviously doesn't feel normal. Like it should be that way. But it wasn't until I got out of all of that and kind of on my own, taking care of myself, that I realized that I had a choice. The more I hear that I have a choice of how I feel, the more I played with that. And I'm like, wow, I really do have a choice. But I had to get out of that momentum. So meditate most every day. I give myself grace of like, what do I want to do? Now this morning, I woke up at 6 and I figured, this was the plan, that I was going to get up and go meditate and start my day. I knew I had to do this podcast this morning. So I'm like, okay, so what would be, a lot of like quote unquote responsible people or responsible adults would be like, okay, first thing in the morning, I got to just jump and go do that podcast because every morning I have it scheduled for 7 a.m. on my podcast platforms. Excuse me. It's scheduled ahead of time, all the time, every day for 7 a.m. Well, right now it's 8:36 my time. So there goes that. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. Like I'm not worried that I'm going to disappoint anyone because it's okay. It's all okay, right? It's all okay. the reason why I'm an entrepreneur is because I want to set my own rules in my life. The reason why I do what I do is so I can set the rules. So if I set rules of like, I have to, no matter what, life or death, I have to have my podcast done and scheduled and released by 7 a.m. every morning, that just sounds like bondage. So I'm totally cool with this not coming out at 7 a.m. It's not a big deal. It's just an arbitrary number that I chose because my podcast is always done ahead of time. This is the first time in 200 and something episodes. No big deal. I'm okay with that because I have learned to be okay with when plans don't come out, right? So today's podcast is episode 211. I'm just looking at my notes, but and then it's on YouTube shortly after that. Within a couple of hours, it's on YouTube. I post it manually usually. So no big deal. But where was I going with this? This was an example for something. Anyway, so where I was headed with all of this, I just went down a rabbit hole of 15 different subjects. Not surprised. I got a comment from, it's a cool name. Thank you for all the comments, guys. Yesterday's video, there's a lot of comments. So I am Candace One Loves it. I had to keep reading. She just ordered my book. So thank you so much. If you haven't ordered my book, it is on Amazon. It's like 400 pages. It is the daily writings from this podcast, or this podcast is from that book. So it's all in one. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I do have a couple of journals out there called Manifest Your Success. And it's a 3-month journal to keep track of your meditation every day, your visualization every day, and your writing. And it's all this manifestation sequence that I do sometimes. I don't do it like that anymore, but every once in a while I do. And whatever I focus on, for me, it's been about 7 days that I manifest whatever I'm writing about, whatever I'm doing those 3 things about. Well, meditation is general. It's a daily thing. But the other 2, when I visualize something and write about it every day for 7 days, it pretty much manifests. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, let's jump into today's message. What is it for today? I've got a lot of tabs open. Good Lord, where is here we go. Okay, so March 30th, alignment makes it easy. If it's not easy, you're not in alignment. Stop and feel yourself back into an ease state. Then go from there. Okay, we talk about this a lot. So I know there's a lot of days that kind of are similar, but that's okay because repetition is the key to understanding this, right? And every day, like every moment, we're a new person. We're like more expanded. Usually, if we're working on ourselves and working on what we're doing, we are constantly evolving. So I can listen to the same Abraham Hicks video 100 times, not in a row, but 100 times or 10 times, 20 times in the last year. And typically I get something different from it each time, or just a little bit more expansion because I'm in a different place. I hear differently over time because I've learned more. I've experienced more. So I find it highly valuable, highly valuable to listen to the same video. If it pops up and it's interesting, the person's got the title that resonates with what I'm thinking about, perfect. So I listen to it and I typically get something different from it, like more expansion, which is cool. Okay. So what is alignment? Alignment is in line. So one of the definitions I use is when you're in alignment with your desire. Let's go with that one first. Alignment with your desire. What it is that you want, align with it. So I break it down and say in line with my desire. So let's say I have a desire to have a car. I just looked at a picture just now. Just my eye darted to it. It's when I test drove a Bentley a while back. Whenever I test drive a car that I want, I always go test drive it. It's like number one thing I do is go test drive it, which is something I need to go do. I think I'm gonna manifest. I feel like I'm manifesting a black Cadillac Escalade. It's for my real estate business. I feel like because I'm surrounded by them all of a sudden in the last week or two, it's like everywhere I go, I see them. And I'm like, that is on my list. That is in my vision for my real estate. And so maybe I should go test drive it. I just said it's my number one thing is I go test drive it. So, okay. So so what I do is I go test drive it and I always take a picture of the steering wheel, like the whole vision, the line of vision of behind the steering wheel. So right now I'm looking at a picture of when I was behind the Bentley. So I see the emblem on the steering wheel. I see the console panel. Is that what it's called? I don't know, but I see that. And then I also have other pictures on my phone with like looking through the windshield and the whole thing. Right. So I'm looking at that. So say I want a Bentley. So to be in line with my desire, the desire is my Bentley. It's mine. It's mine. It's there. I have to be in line with it. I can't be out of line with it. Does that make sense? Let me give you an example. So I would say, gosh, it's so fun. It's so fun to drive my Bentley. It's so fun. It's such a nice car. And I will list all the things I really love it. And when I actually test drive it, I feel it. I feel what it feels like. You know what I mean? So I can like ingrain this memory for the future. And so some of the characteristics of this Bentley I remember is that it feels very solid. It is a heavy car. It's a 2-door coupe. It's sporty, but it feels heavy, which is great because I like that feeling. And I remember years ago at a car show, I sat in a Honda Civic. I've never been a Honda person, so please forgive me because I know Honda is a cherished car brand, but I've never owned one and I never wanted to. So, but I remember getting inside of a Honda Civic and the door was so thin and like tinny that it was an instant turn off. I like solid vehicles and like solid, heavy machines. That's what it feels like. So with the Bentley, it felt very solid. It is a heavy car and it's well built and it's a big door. It's a heavy, it's got stuff to it, So I remember that. I remember how it felt to drive. I remember that it was fast. I remember all these things. So when I will think about all of that. I think about that day that I drove it. I remember the streets that I drove down. I remember all of it. That's being in line with my desire. Being out of alignment with my desire would be, gosh, geez, they're so expensive and they cost a lot to maintain. And I don't know how I'm going to do it. Like, I don't make that much money to buy a Bentley. And what would the neighbors think? My gosh, so crazy. You know what I mean? Like that is, and hear that though. That's how a lot of humans talk. It's annoying because did you hear any of that? I was excited about the Bentley. It felt great to drive. It was so fun. It's luxurious. It's sporty. It's fast. It's all these things. It's just fun. And what is life supposed to be? Fun. That's all. That's it. So that is alignment and out of alignment with your desires. So that's a definition of alignment. When it comes to your specific desires, Now, alignment with your broader self, alignment with source, alignment with who you really are, that is love, joy, happiness, excitement, the highest level of the emotional guidance scale with Abraham, right? So alignment of who you really are, not who this human personality has become necessarily, but who you really are as this grander scale, source, energy, amazement, like bigger than you can ever imagine. So alignment, when you're in alignment with who you really are, your broader perspective, your broader self, your higher self, your inner being, all of that, right? It's all the same. Alignment with source energy, which means everything is just, you're in a good mood. You're in a really good mood. You're excited about things. You're excited about life. You're happy. You get along with people. You totally don't look at anything wrong with people. Everything's good. You're wearing rose-colored glasses. Remember, I was going to order some or get some. I don't know. But that's alignment. Alignment makes it easy. So when you're in alignment, everything is just freaking easy because that's all you see. You see ease. You're going with the flow. You're skipping down the road. You're just, you're in the car and you've got good, upbeat, happy, loud music going on, and you're just like dancing and you're enjoying life. You're seeing everything the way source sees it. That's alignment with who you really are. Live like that every day. At that point, you don't care. You do not care what manifests, like your desires. It's all good because you feel good. That's unconditional. Unconditional happiness. It is the best thing in the world. Not caring whether or not your manifestations show up is a great feeling. It's a really great feeling. Okay, so alignment makes it easy. It makes everything easy. So if it's not easy, you're not in alignment. Because if it's not easy, you're looking at all the things of why it's not happening. You're looking at all the things that you got to do. Your to-do list is a mile long, and it is a lot of stuff you don't want to do. That's not being in alignment. So stop and feel yourself back into an ease state, then go from there. Like we keep saying, go take a nap, go meditate, go take a walk, go play with your dog, go walk your dog, go outside, be with nature, watch the sunrise. I watched the sunrise. The sun didn't rise yet when I woke up. So I was in the living room and I see it. I mean, it's super bright out, super light out. And I'm watching, I'm like, something told me just wait until the sun comes. And I did. I waited until, like a minute after the sunrise. And then I walked into my office. I was like, okay, cool. The sun's right there. What I was saying earlier was, I had planned to meditate first thing. And then something told me, like I think I did complete that statement, that thought. Is that I got on the treadmill and I walked. So I've walked 32 minutes this morning, which is awesome because I didn't walk for the last 3 days. And I really do like to walk. It makes me feel good. And got other stuff done and feel really great. Now, had I meditated, I don't know. I may have struggled to meditate. I do struggle sometimes. It takes me longer and I'm okay with that. I've got time to, I find it very, a very good investment in time, meditation. So if I don't feel like I can't get done in 15 minutes, that's for sure. But it takes me a little while to kind of like ease into the meditation stuff. Like I'll chill out. So I've got this recliner. I'll chill out. Maybe I'll watch a couple of YouTube videos. I'll listen to an Abraham. I will kind of relax. And then at some point I'll get the ocean waves going and then I'll meditate. So I may be in there for a minimum an hour a lot of times because I know it's a great investment of time. I'm not rushed, but that's how I have my life. So anyway, it's all good. And I know that I'm going to meditate at some point, maybe after breakfast, because I think after this episode, I'm going to go make breakfast. And then I'll probably at some point after that meditate, and I'm all good, because I actually do like meditating in the middle of the day too, because it gives me kind of like a rebirth of the day of like, yes, now I feel good again. So you gotta feel into what works best for you each day, each moment. So like, I don't like doing the same exact thing every day in the same order. Like I can do that maybe 2 days in a row, and then I'm bored. And then I'm like, no, I want to follow my inspiration. I don't want to follow a schedule. So that's why I work for myself. Because, when you go to a job and you basically have to do a lot of jobs, you have to do the same thing every day. And, we want to expand. As humans, we want to expand. So when we're at a job for many years, for me, it would be many weeks, not many years, but I've been in jobs that I've been in many, many years, but it gets monotonous. It gets old. It gets boring. It gets a lot of things because you're doing the same thing every day. If you're not constantly expanding, having like room to grow, sometimes, that may be the reason why people it's got to be the reason why people, get higher and higher in their company, get into management, get into higher management. I don't like management, so I never went that route. It just looked like stress to me. So I always stayed in my roles, but then I'd get kind of bored and stale. So I always look at that, or I know, like Roger, my husband, will say something about doing something every day, like in my business, and I'm like, but then I'm doing that every day. then I'll get bored. And he's like, yeah, that's right. He knows that I'll get bored because I am always expanding. So I want to do more. I want to do something different. I want nearly every day to look a bit different. So there you go. Anyway, I think we nailed it today on the topic. Let me see. Was there anything else I wanted to say? I don't know. I think that's it for today, guys. So have an amazing rest of your day. Stay positive. Notice how you feel. Notice the things that are this is the biggest thing. Notice the thoughts. Notice the things that you feel like doing. Notice the thoughts that you have. Notice, and they're very subtle. I don't care what Abraham says. They're subtle. The thoughts that come are subtle. When they're huge, then grab it and go do it. But when they're just subtle, they're just thoughts. Get into a good mood first and foremost, and then just whatever thought you have. And this is why people think that they have ADHD, because they're bouncing all over the place or doing like attention deficit, right? Yeah, no, it's just that you're following your impulses. You're following your inspiration. You're following what source has for you. Don't put a label on it. Just go with the flow. The impulsivity sometimes with, don't jump on an airplane and go across the world to go meet a stranger. Like that's the extreme of impulsivity, but I love being impulsive. I never was impulsive in the past because it's like, no, you need to follow the rules and you need to do this and you can't do that. As a therapist, most of my clients were bipolar. So that impulsivity was bad. Well, like I said, the example of jumping on an airplane today from a person you just met yesterday, that is just probably not the right thing to do. But following your thoughts throughout the day, follow your thoughts as much as you possibly can. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur without an outside job, you're able to do this a lot easier. Get it? So there you go. I'm going to end that for today because I probably need to go have breakfast and you probably want to listen to this episode. So have a great day and I will be back tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye.